Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing all post-plant lineups for all maps with Killjoy. Let's get right into it. So for our first lineup, we'll be learning a lineup for A default on Ascent. You want to come back to A lobby and stand in this corner. Then have a look for this corner on the roof. Hold out your molly and put your bottom right HUD line in that position. Then do a left click throw. This will land on A default plant. For the next lineup, we'll be learning a lineup for Dice's plant on A Ascent. Come back to A lobby and stand in this corner. And then you want to look for this spike. Aim at the top of the spike and do a left click throw. This will land on Dice's plant. Now let's move over to B site. The first lineup that you will be learning is for default plant. Come back to B lobby and stand in this corner. Then look for the first spike in the sky and aim at the end of it. Do a left click throw. This will land on default plant. The next lineup on BSM we'll be learning is for double plant. Come back to B garage and stand in this corner. Then look for these three poles, and specifically the second one. Then go to the top of the pole, hold out your molly, and do a left click throw. This will land on double plant. The first lineup on bind is for A default. Come back to A short and stand in this corner. You then want to look for where these two leaves overlap. Aim your crosshair there and do a left click throw. This will land on the default plant. The next lineup is for A bath plant. Come back to A lobby and stand in this corner. You are then going to draw two imaginary lines, one on this side of the building and one on the top. Then look where they meet and do a left click throw. This will land on bath plant. The next lineup is for B default. Come back to B long and you'll see three rocks. You want to go to the second rock, which is also the smallest, and stand pretty much anywhere on top of it. Then look for this metal sheet on the roof and aim for the corner. Do a left click throw and this will land on default plant. For our first lineup on split, we'll be learning a lineup for A default plant. Come back to A lobby and stand in this corner. You then want to look up to this right beam of light. Find where it connects with the leaf. Hold out your molly and do a left click throw. This will land on default plant. The next lineup is for the A back plant on split. Come back to A lobby and stand in this corner. You are then going to want to look for the corner of this leaf. Then hold out your molly and do a left click throw. This will land on the A back plant. The only problem with this molly is it doesn't cover all the way back to the corner, so make sure if you are planting in this location, don't plant too close to the corner. The next lineup is for B default on split. Come back to B garage and get yourself next to this pole. You then want to look for this U-shaped figure and go to the corner of it and go up until you meet this white line. Then hold out your molly and do a left click throw. It may not look like this molly hits default plant, but when you're there, you will take damage. Killjoy lineup for A default plant on fracture. You want to come to A rope and stand in this corner. You then want to find both of the corners of the roof and make two imaginary lines. Then aim where they connect and then throw your molly with a left click. This will land on the default plant. The next lineup is for B default plant on fracture. Come back to B arcade and stand in this corner. Then have a look at this massive roof and find the corner. Then you want to hold out your molly and put your top left HUD line in that position. Then throw your molly with the left click. This will land on the default plant.
Swarm grenade out.
The first lineup on Breeze is for A default. Come back to A lobby and stand in this corner. You then want to look for the circular part of the roof, and specifically this line. Put your crosshair on the edge of the line and do a jumping throw.
Placing swarm grenade.
This will land on default plant.
Swarm grenade out.
The next lineup is for B default.
Here.
Come back to mid cannon and run yourself into this arch. You then want to look for this corner on the roof and do a jumping throw.
Placing swarm grenade.
This will land on default plant.
Swarm grenade out.
The first lineup you're going to be landing on Haven is for A default plant. Come stand next to these sandbags in A long, and then look for the top of these leaves. You're going to put your top right HUD line in that position. Then do a left click throw. This will land on the default plant.
Swarm grenade out.
The next lineup for Haven is B default plant. Come back to A garden and stand in this corner. You then want to look for this corner on the roof. Hold out your nanoswarm and do a left click throw.
Swarm grenade.
This will land on the B default plant.
Swarm grenade out.
Next is the lineup for C default plant.
Here.
Come back to C long and stand in this corner. You are then going to look at the dip in these two spikes. Hold out your molly and do a throw.
Placing swarm grenade.
This will land on default plant.
Swarm grenade out.
The next lineup is for C long. Come back into C long and stand in this corner. Then count to the third spike and aim your crosshair there. Hold out your nanoswarm and do a left click throw.
Grenade.
This will land on C long plant.
Swarm grenade out.
The first lineup for Icebox is A default. Come back to A lobby and you want to count to the second line on this wall. Then go into the wall on this line. You then want to look for where the rope and the white collide. Hold out your molly and do a left click throw.
Grenade.
This will land on default plant.
Swarm grenade out.
The next lineup is for B default.
Here.
You want to come and stand in this corner. And then look for this position on this white post. Hold out your molly and put the right side of the HUD in between your nanoswarm and alarm bot in that position.
Placing swarm
Throw your molly. This will land on default plant.
Swarm grenade out.